I swear. Maybe I'll learn to unmute my mic when I do these podcasts. Welcome to Pistons Talk Podcast post game show. Hope you guys are having a great night. Just got done watching the Detroit Pistons' first preseason game against the Memphis Grizzlies. If you guys are new here, what we're going to be doing is going over quarter notes. And then after we're done with these quarter notes, we will be taking any questions you guys had about the game, comments, kind of just do a Q&A, open up the show for you guys that are watching live on YouTube right now. But let's get into these quarter notes. So to start the first quarter, first and foremost, there was no Jalen Duren tonight. I thought something was up when I saw Isaiah Stewart wear uh, a a road blue practice jersey. Duren wasn't in any of the photos. Johnny Kane and the FanDuel broadcast said that he is out. He was out, and he's day-to-day with a hamstring injury. So, little update on Duren. Hope he's doing well. Hope he good for the season. I would like to imagine. So Isaiah Stewart did start at center for the Detroit Pistons, but this first quarter was so wild. The defense was really sluggish. 8 turnovers by the Detroit Pistons in this one. And Memphis couldn't miss from 3. They just could not miss from 3. You're looking at the box score, you're probably like, how did we win this game? Like, what happened? Memphis just got hot. They dropped 42 points in the first quarter. Pistons only dropped 24. So they had a pretty big lead to start this one in the first. Kind of transitioning over to the second quarter, something that we saw a lot from this team last season was if they were down, they come out of a quarter really aggressive, and that's exactly what happened. They were really forcing turnovers. Memphis looked very uncomfortable. A lot of transition buckets for the Pistons in the second quarter, and all that defense just turned into offense. And that's something that JB and the Pistons always kind of pride themselves on is, making defensive stops and pushing the pace in transition. Asar looked good out there. Kate Cunningham was just a man possessed in the second quarter. And this was a 50-point quarter. I didn't misspeak. 50 points. That's crazy, you guys. They scored 24 points in the first. They dropped 7. They had a 50-point quarter to get to 74, and they take a 10-point lead to 74 to 64. Like, that second quarter was crazy. If you haven't watched it, you have the opportunity to go watch it again. Like, that second quarter was crazy. Duncan was making shots. Karras was a little bit, sloppy, but hey, man, it's preseason, brand new team. He's probably still getting used to everybody, but they look great out there in the second quarter, you guys. They really did. 74 to 64 going in the halftime. Dropping 70 points in a half is crazy in itself, but they really woke up. I think JB got on their butt for not bringing it defensively in the first quarter, and they made up for it in the second. Coming out of halftime, you saw Asar Thompson and Ryan Holland and Isaiah Stewart start together. You didn't really see too much out of the starters from Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris. They were on the bench for a majority of the second half, and that's to be expected with these preseason games. That's just kind of what happens. But Ryan Holland looked good, hit some three-point shots. Asar, just a transition nightmare that he is. He looked good out there, but the offense did kind of struggle without having Cade Cunningham out there. They had Marcus Sasser play point guard, which something that they mentioned during media day that Marcus Sasser is going to be playing more just point guard. And he did his thing. He did well tonight. Donis Jenkins, who I'll probably be talking about for the majority of these third quarter notes, he looked really good. I've been really impressed with Donis Jenkins for 2 years. You guys know that. I just love his pace, the way he can just attack, find the open man, and he got the Pistons back to having a bigger lead. 97 to 88 was the score to end the third quarter. And, by the time you get to the fourth quarter, you got a lot of these two ways, exhibit 10 days. Like you had Bryce Williams out there, Bobby Klippman, Tolu Smith, who in the very limited time that he got to play was excellent, especially scoring the basketball and rebounding the basketball. With Jalen Duren being out tonight, I think it was a good opportunity for him to say, "Hey, like I can play too." And him and Paul Reed did a phenomenal job of just rebounding the basketball tonight. Chaz Lanier, 11 points in his Pistons preseason debut, hit some threes. I was just really impressed with the guys that probably aren't going to get routine clock, like Adonis Jenkins, like a Tolu Smith, like a Chaz. I know we drafted Chaz, but I don't really know like how much clock he will probably get during the regular season, given kind of like where the shooting guard rotation is with Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, and Jaden Ivey. I thought for his first preseason game, he looked good out there. Pistons do win this one 128-112. First quarter was bad, but they finished that game really strong with just a solid 3 quarters of basketball. I'm sure JB is going to get on their ass saying like, hey, you guys, we have to come out like we did in the second quarter for a full 48. But it's preseason. These guys haven't played basketball since the first week in May. But they look good out there. Cade looks good. Ivy, there's going to be some rust with him there. But overall, I thought he looked good. I do want to open up the show, though, to some questions and comments if we do have any. We do have 2 comments from T. And one of the first comments he has, Ivy looked kind of sloppy, but that's expected. Absolutely. He really didn't play organized basketball since January. This was his first action since the break. I think it is going to take some time for him to, get back in the basketball shape. But overall, I was very pleased with seeing him out there in the short amount of minutes that we did get to see Jaden Ivey out there. But I do expect a little bit of rust from him. And that's okay. Jenkins and Smith are dogs. Absolutely. You saw the G League connection in the fourth quarter and the third quarter. Those two just wreak havoc in the G League together with the Motor City Cruise. No surprise to me that they were looking for each other. Donis had some really good passes, made a 3-point shot. His speed and his burst I've always been really impressed with. I honestly think, though, like when we're talking about backup point guard battles, I don't really know who's going to be the backup point guard, whether they're going to stagger Jaden Ivey. We've heard Trajan Langdon mention that Karis LeVert might get some backup point guard duties. Marcus Sasser was playing some backup point guard. So was Donis Jenkins. I think there's going to be a lot of competition for that backup guard spot. And I don't know, every time I watch Donis Jenkins out there, he always impresses me with just the way he can slow things down, finding the open man, hitting the 3-point shot, playing some pretty good defense, I think. He was really active in the summer league. He was really active in this first preseason game. So I'd keep an eye out for that backup point guard spot because I think it's going to be a very competitive spot. Not saying that, they won't stagger Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham in the starting lineup, but it's a good problem to have if you're the Pistons because Donis is a G League guy. He's a two-way guy, but you never really know. You have one roster spot available. Do you convert him as the last roster spot? Who knows? We have to wait and see. Jenkins is a better backup point guard than Sasser. Arthur. I see, like, we're in one preseason game and we're already having these conversations. I said this. I got killed during the summer, Arthur. And here's the thing. I want to spend a little bit of time on this. I don't really think Marcus Sasser is a point guard. I've been very clear on that. I think Marcus Sasser is more of a, in between, like a combo guard. I think where Marcus Sasser really thrives is scoring the basketball. Not saying that he can't bring the ball up the court, not saying that he can't set stuff up initially, but you can see the difference between Donis Jenkins and Marcus Sasser when they're playing point guard. Donis Jenkins, to me, is more of a natural facilitator, more of a natural point guard, in my personal opinion anyways. But I know people are going to have their opinions on it. That's just what I see. That's what I've always seen when Donis Jenkins does get an opportunity to play. But hey, I'll let people debate that because I think it's going to be a topic this preseason, especially having three more games, and you're going to see more Donis Jenkins, you're going to see more Marcus Sass, you're going to see a lot of these guys that might not get a lot of time and a lot of clock. But I was really impressed with Donis, and Sasser did have his moments tonight as well. And a comment from G Far, like Chaz. How about like Chaz? Yeah, Chaz looked good. He really did. 11 points. I mentioned at the top of the podcast. He looked really good. I was really impressed with him. You guys know, like during the draft, the pre-draft stuff, I was really high on Chaz Lanier if the Pistons were going to draft a shooter in the second round. I mentioned you either going to draft Chaz Lanier or Colby Brea. They went with Chaz, and the shot's a little unconventional, but it goes in. I think once he gets used to NBA speed and the speed of which the NBA game is, I think Chaz is going to be a really good player. I think there's a lot of stuff that you do like about him. It'll be interesting to see like how much clock he does get with the Pistons this season. A comment from Devon. I like Jenkins over Sass because of size and playmaking. Yeah, and it's not Sasser's fault. Like, I think when you look at the depth chart and you look at like where he's slated at, the Pistons almost have to play him at point guard because the shooting guard room is just so full with Jaden Ivey, Duncan Robinson, and Karis LeVert. Like, there's no really room for Marcus Sasser at shooting guard, even though that Donis Jenkins and Marcus Sasser were on the court together, and Sasser was playing shooting guard and Donis Jenkins was playing point guard. Like, I think there's a room where you can play both on the court at the same time, but I think Sasser is just more of a gifted scorer than a facilitator. But that's just me. We need Malik back. Yeah, I mean, in terms of just like the investigations, Devon, I think we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. Karis is very different from Malik Beasley. Duncan Robinson was hitting some shots, 3-point shots, was taking the ball to the basket, which I think he's really good at. But you definitely notice the difference without Malik Beasley. I think we're just gonna have to wait and see. Last time I read, the investigations with the NBA are still ongoing. They don't really know what's going to happen. In terms of punishment. I mean, it's still up in the air. Pistons still have a roster spot available. Not really sure who does get that last roster spot. I do believe last season, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Trajan kept that roster spot open until trading deadline. I don't know if they will fill it before the season starts. They may keep it open just in case they do want to make a trade this February at the deadline. I'd like them to get a little bit more size at the power forward position or in the front court for that matter. But that's just kind of a personal preference for me. In terms of Malik's future, I really don't know, Devon. But I did notice a difference. I mean, Malik is just such a great 3-point shooter, and Cade looked for him a lot. But I think it's just going to be an adjusted period going from Malik to Karis and Duncan. But I was pretty impressed with Duncan. And Arthur has a comment about Duncan. Duncan Robinson's hustle impressed me. He really went after the loose balls, even when his shot wasn't going down. Don't like when he tries to do too much, trying to play make. Yeah, I mean, overall, the Duncan Robinson experience is he can hit threes. He can put the ball on the floor. He's a really good cutter. He does show the ability to play make a little bit. I think his playmaking is a little underrated, but I do agree with you. When he does try to force it a little bit, force the action a little bit, that's where some of the turnovers can happen. That's not really a strong part of his game. It might be like B minus C plus part of his game that he's still working on. I'm sure every day, but overall, like with Duncan, you're going to get 3-point shooting, you're going to get cutting, you're just going to get a guy that can really to space the floor. And that's why the Detroit Pistons traded for him, because they needed more three-point shooting. They needed more floor spacing around Cade Cunningham because it was a recipe that did work. Arthur says his defense is still awful. Yeah, we know Duncan Robinson is not a lockdown defender. That is not a strong part of his game. It's kind of a trade-off. It's like when we would come up here last year, Tim Hardaway Jr., we all love the offense. We all love the three-point shooting with THJ, but the defense was bad, right? It's just a trade-off with some of these, shooters like a Duncan Robinson, like a Tim Hardaway Jr. Just kind of have to pick your poison, like what you're okay with as a coach. And I think JB Bickerstaff had some pretty interesting combinations out there tonight for the very first preseason game. But I was really happy with the final three quarters of this game, you guys. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. We will be doing these post-game podcasts all season long. I do appreciate we got 33 people in here. I actually had to remake this podcast because my internet, for whatever reason, was so buggy that the frames were just freezing. Because we are live on YouTube. If you're an audio listener, you probably don't even give a crap, and that's fine if you're listening to this later. But wrap this up. Pistons win their first preseason game 128-112. Very impressive, final three quarters by them. But we will see you guys immediately after the Detroit Pistons face the Milwaukee Bucks. I believe that is on Thursday, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure. But we will see you guys immediately after that game. Talk to you guys later in the week. And as always, go Pistons. Peace.